You are listening to the Kentucky X-Files with hosts Dennis Mays, Tyler Stewart, and Josh Gibbs. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. Now, on to our show.
Something that would be in the context of the supernatural.
He described it as being a gray, silver-looking, upright bipedal creature, dragging a deer out of that cave going up the hill.
Where he goes, hey, I got a question for you. He goes, do you believe in demons?
And it takes one big step and vanishes. I'm like, oh my God, that was a Bigfoot.
And look at these pictures of this white creature.
Something 7'3" to 8 foot tall.
Right.
That, let's say it like.
And I'll tell you right now, if this was a bear, and this bear was standing on his hind legs, and he was running like a man, no, this was no bear.
Now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was a dog then.
Welcome back, guys, to the Kentucky X-Files. We've really got to figure out something new for the
We need it,
season.
yeah.
Maybe a little button.
Ooh, can we get a MIDI controller? That'd be sweet.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, we need like a Sasquatch scream. Ah. So, I feel like today's podcast is brought to you by the big guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So, we were actually talking about it like beforehand.
Yeah.
You don't think that if any or possibly, I'll throw this this is how I'm understanding it. Most of what we see in photos, it could be majority fake, or they might be female. We don't think we've actually really gotten a decent photo of an actual male. And what did you say was the reason behind that sexual dimorphism or
Sexual dimorphism,
dimorphism?
which is something that almost all creatures have it in some degree. In reptiles, it's backwards. Most of the time in reptiles, a female is a lot bigger. Birds, I think it's kind of depends on the breed. Some birds have a larger female, some birds have a larger male.
Same for insects and stuff
Yeah, with insects
that's backwards. The females are normally bigger.
Yeah. With mammals, it tends to be the male, except for some few species, and those are minorities. The one thing that I've noticed, especially over the last week, a video was dropped on Steve Isdall's channel, How to Hunt, and I had so many questions about the video, and I know you guys did too. We sat here for a while talking about it, and then it was the very next day, Steve dropped another video, and he literally was asking all of the same questions that we were. So I'm like, okay, that means that he's on the same,
Right.
Oh yeah, I never went back to that video that we saw. I actually slipped my mind. The picture that you were showing, was that from that same video?
No.
Oh, that was a totally different picture.
Yeah, that's a different picture that's been floating around, and you guys, if you want to check the picture out, we can get it up on the Facebook page or whatever, and you can
just
see
send
it.
it to me. I'll put it up there for sure.
So, sorry to sidetrack you, but what was the questions that he was answering? Because we had a lot of questions. I know we was wanting to try to find what lake, I guess park that was, and see how deep that creek or river or stream was.
Okay, for the first thing that I wanted to know is the situation that led to the video.
Yeah.
That video was not taken by a park official. It was taken by a park official's son-in-law. and given to him. And then he sat on the video for quite a while. Apparently, he showed the video to other officials, and everybody kept telling him pretty much just shelf it or delete it. Nothing good will come from it. Just get rid of it. The video shows something that looks like a bear at first, down in a creek, laying down. I did some back of the napkin math on this one too. There's a couple problems with the measurements. Okay, this thing gets in the water and starts to do whatever it's doing. It's either, I don't know, fishing, or it's bathing, or it's getting a drink. I don't know. While it's in the water, it's almost completely submerged. But when it stands up, the water is only coming up to its, like the bottom of its ankle. Problem with that is that, as you guys well know, when you lay down, you're not as tall as you are when you're standing up. For us, it takes less than a foot, just under a foot of water, and most average-sized people are submerged. That's why, they always make the joke, like, you can drown in a tablespoon of water,
Yeah.
The problem with this thing is that it's so tall and it's wide. It's got that specific profile, the big, wide linebacker, right? Is that the water would need to be well over a foot and a half deep to submerge him. And when you pause the video and you basically do, just draw a little line on the video, and then when he stands up, take your line that you drew, basically of, what we're basically assuming is a side profile, then that line stacks like almost 20 times. And there's a problem with that. And the problem is that if someone was out there in a suit, it takes a great deal, okay, to try to fake that one, because you're basically hoping that you get the perfect shot, because if you're filming it from that far away, these are little minute details that aren't really going to be looked at. All right, so the shoulder size profile is kind of weird too, because it almost would say that if it is a suit, then the suit itself has to be big. So even if it's a average size guy, he's wearing a lot of suit. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever seen football players help each other get up with their gear on. Sometimes they gotta, take a hand and get up. They're wearing a lot of stuff. It's the same as, armed forces are wearing a lot of, weight in their pack. You know what I mean? Sometimes they need a helping hand to get up. A suit that big, to move the way it does, has to have some kind of substantial weight to it. If it's really light, it's not going to react the way it does in the video. If it's really light, it'll almost... I don't know how to explain this better, but say the suit was made of foam. When he gets up, it's not going to move with him. It's going to be stiff.
Well, not only that, if it was made from foam, good Lord, the weight. Foam absorbs water.
Yeah.
He wouldn't get up.
Yeah.
If it was a foam suit.
And that's the other problem was there was something about it the very first night I watched it that didn't sit right with me, and I've since come to a conclusion on it. It was the way he gets up, and I started to realize what I was seeing was not the way a person gets up out of water. To get up out of a creek, we tend to kind of push ourselves up and get up. You know what I mean? He just shoots up in like a second. And for the size, that's what it was. It was the size versus the speed is what threw me off. And I kept thinking like, something's off about this. This is weird. But then I started to come to think like, okay, well, if this is a big guy, then the problem that's ticking off my spider sense is that, of course, he's going to make me feel uneasy about it, because he's not moving in a pattern that I'm used to seeing. Right? So I started thinking a lot about it, and they put up a video of a bear in a creek right side by side with the video. Mm-hmm. For about 1 second, the artifacting in the film it makes it look like a bear, and there's a bear picture right next to it, and you can see that similarity for a second. But when it stands up, it completely loses the profile of a bear. There's nothing bear-like about it after it stands up. Mm-hmm. I mean, profile-wise. And that's where I started to draw a different conclusion about sexual dimorphism. The only substantial Sasquatch video that I say has survived the test of time is Patterson Gimlin. Because, you know, squillions of people have literally looked into debunking this video and they've failed. You know what I mean? There's been so many attempts to make a run at it that it's a hoax, and they just fall short. They just cannot prove it. There's so many little things going on in it. You know, the muscle flexing, the movement, you know what I mean? There's details that those guys back then wouldn't have even thought of. And then there's the obvious, the quality of the suit. That would have been the biggest thing, is how the hell did these two, you know, basically hillbilly filmmakers, how the hell did they come up with this awesome, you know, Bigfoot costume back when a costume like that would have been a fortune? So there's a lot of things going against it where it's literally still standing, you know, all this time later. But the problem with it is that it's a female. Yeah. So if we take that one example and say, okay, so we have a generalized idea of what the female looks like. That's all we have. Now, imagine you're me, and you're looking through hundreds on end of Sasquatch, air quotes here, videos, and the one, you know, common denominator that you continuously see is that they are trying to make their Sasquatch look like Patty. Okay. They're trying for it to look like Patty, but it's always being hidden away from you in a way that you cannot make, you know, a solid confirmation. Well, there's a problem with that, folks, is that if you're sitting there with your, you know, if you're sitting there, say you're a man or a woman, and you're sitting there with a member of the opposite sex right next to you, immediately look at that person, go ahead right now, they won't mind, and start comparing the differences between you and them. I think about my wife, okay? She's probably a solid foot shorter than me. She's definitely more attractive than I am. She has features that I do not have. She has feminine features, right? I have masculine features, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's the right term for it, but we don't look the same. My son and my daughter don't look the same. They have features of their, you know, of their sex. So go over to the old silverback gorilla. Take a look at the big bull. He's a lot bigger. He's wider. He's definitely built like a brick shithouse. Look at the females. They're graceful. You ever watch them? The female gorilla. They're so graceful. I mean, watch them with their babies. How they care for each other in a group. You know, they're very graceful. The male is not graceful. He's big. He's, you know.
Well, I just looked up the statistics too, and in non-human primates, on average, males are between 9 and 15% larger than females.
All right, so that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because it's not, like, you always will get some, like, there's some females that they're big too. Like, you always will get that.
Sure.
Like, but on average,
yep,
you will see that the males were always, like, the bigger, they're bigger than the females.
Right.
I mean, just looking, even in humans.
Yeah.
You know, as far as like stature goes, the biggest women are like not as big as the biggest men.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus bone structure. You know, a woman's hips, pelvis
just about to say that.
is built different because we
Right.
have different parts to accommodate for.
Yeah, because
Yeah. We don't make babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They are the mother. They're literally the mothers of the earth. Like they're responsible for all life. They're built different than us. We're
Right.
supposed to protect them, you know, by being bigger. And now, as we progress, we're evolving differently. But that's just our species.
Right.
The rest of the planet is still kind of working with those rules.
yeah, I just feel like we're looking at this like through basically. I guess like what are those things? Kaleidoscopes. They're all like the bits and pieces of glass.
Yeah.
And you twist it and makes all the thing. We're looking at that through that because we're depicting
Yeah.
that the Sasquatch can be just like us, but like in a way, you don't see any kind. Like it seems like like we just said that on average, like gorillas are what was it, 25.
15.
15%.
9 to 15% bigger.
9 to 15%.
And that's in all non-human primates across the board. That's chimpanzees.
Yeah.
That's monkeys. That's
But I'm just
orangutans.
like in a way, like you don't see that like a bigger female like you do in like humans,
Yeah.
but you don't see a lot of like big like female chimpanzees and big female gorillas. Like in an animal, it just seems like it stays the natural state. There's no real outside influences to
Right.
combat that. Like, cause a girl could go to the gym like a lot and literally bulk up
Yeah.
like a man.
So let me put a little perspective for you too, real quick, because as we're talking about this, of course, I can't not research while
Yeah.
we're looking at stuff. The tallest human woman in the world, Sandra Elaine. I'm sorry if I got her name wrong. Allen was 7'7".
7'7".
That's the tallest woman ever recorded in the world.
Yeah.
There are over 14 basketball players, and this is just the NBA,
Yeah.
that are 7'5", 7'4" or taller. 14 currently playing.
Yeah.
Currently playing.
Yeah.
That's not over the entire human race, over the entire planet.
Yeah.
That is just NBA players.
Like,
Yeah.
and the same thing you were just talking about your daughter and your son.
Mhm.
Your son is about to turn 13,
Yeah.
and he's taller than me, and I'm 30 years old.
Yeah. He's gonna be taller than me. I mean, he's got
So,
growing to do still. You know.
That's I feel like it's a natural trait for a male to be taller.
Yeah. How tall were you when you were like 12 or 13?
Shit, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I hit 6'2" until I don't know, maybe 16.
See, I was 6'2" when I went into middle school.
Yeah.
So when I was like 11, I was 6'2".
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
There were no women my height,
Right.
girls rather, my height in school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only guy that tall at my school.
Right.
There was quite a few of us that were within an inch of me, and I think there was even one guy that was an inch taller than me.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that
Yeah.
I've been working on a profile for the big guy for a while,
Yeah.
but I've had a stunning lack of big guys to work with. It's been big females. Now, you hoaxers out there, I'm probably going to be helping you out a great deal. Here's where I'm gonna. I'll tell you what. Let me just help you out here, since you're having such a good time hoaxing. I want to help make this a little bit simpler for you. You're basing all your designs off of Patty. Patty's a female. Yet, I've got accounts of 8 to 9 foot tall forest giants that are, as wide as a car. We've got pictures of these walking up over the Himalayas. Walking where humans can't walk. Where people haven't walked. Think about that for a second. They've got photographs of these things walking over a goddamn mountain that humans cannot do that. We have never been able to make it. Yet they're walking up the side of this mountain. Judging from the distance and size, the estimates are that these guys walking up over this thing are 8 to 9 foot tall, standing in who knows how deep the snow is. We've got a picture, a still frame from Steve Isdall's video that was submitted to him, where the estimate is at least 48 inches at the shoulders, standing in water that was deep enough to submerge him. But when he stands up, the water's not that deep anymore. Think about that for a second. And we got Patty. Here's the difference. The males are big and wide, tapering down, humongous upper body strength, right? Tapering down to, well, I mean, even for their size, a not that impressive set of legs. And there's a reason for that. The females, bigger than the average man, much bigger than the average man. The females of the species are bigger than the NBA players that we're talking about, have huge asses. Okay? You know how you get huge butts like that? From walking and roaming a lot, especially over harsh terrain. So what does that tell you guys out there? And if it's not coming to you, then let me throw this one at you. The males don't move around that much. They don't need to. The male probably hangs out in about a 20-mile area, moseying, and the females travel whatever distances they seem to need to find that male, which gives the female the leg muscles, the big butt, from walking, and the very, the look at Patty and look at the body style. The males are big and they lay around a lot. Think about that. Does that happen anywhere else in nature? Male's bigger, but he doesn't move around a whole lot. You ever heard of that before? I bet you have.
Right.
It's a pattern that's already in nature.
So an interesting thing, too, I just looked up, and I didn't realize this, was the average silverback or lowland gorilla gets to about 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Weighs 440 pounds.
Yep.
Now, you add 2 feet to the height of that.
Yeah.
How many pounds do you think comes with 2 feet?
I've heard estimates all across the board on this one, and I know the jury's still out on it, like the exacts. But I sat there and showed you that picture that was snapped. Yeah. Have you ever seen a Bigfoot costume that looked like that one?
No.
It would take 2 people to fill out the one you showed us.
Okay, that is a minority. That picture, that body style. Okay, that happens in about 2 out of 1,000 pictures of alleged Bigfoot photos.
Right.
And that's why I think those might be the real deal.
So do you think that the females are the hunter-gatherers?
I think that the whole species is opportunistic. They'll hunt if they have to. They'll also steal if they have to. Now, it's funny to me that there's a couple areas, especially in Kentucky, where there's 50 to 60 years of big guys stealing chickens and stealing livestock. And all I kept thinking about, and as I was working today and I was driving, I just kept laughing to myself because I'm like, shit, man. He steals livestock because it's easy.
It's a crime of opportunity.
If you can step over a fence, which there's videos out there of that too. There's a famous video. I can't remember who it's by, but if I find it, I'll share it to the Facebook page of a big guy literally never even breaking a stride, stepping over a horse fence, and it's amazing because he literally just comes walking and then he just steps right over and keeps going.
You would have to have at least a leg length of like 4.5 feet.
Yeah,
maybe that more.
That's you're actually right on to what I was getting to. I think the males are a lot bigger than people are letting on. A lot of people say like, oh my God, it was 7, it had to be 7 foot tall. It was 8 foot tall. It turned and looked at me and it walked away. The males aren't going to do that. Okay, we've got behavioral pattern in the stories that is telling us whether it was male or female. It's just didn't know what I was looking for. The ones where they say, yeah, it looked at me and it just kept walking, or it just walked away. It never stopped. Female. Right? Then you have this one. Yeah, we were camping in the spot, and then we started feeling this weird feeling, and then that night something was like shoving, there's one account that I found quite terrifying where they were asleep in the bed of the pickup. They had a camper top on, and something literally shoved the truck, and the truck slid like the sideways. The tires went like that, from side to side, for you guys who can't see what we're saying or what we're doing here. Male. That's his area, right? Guys, what's another one? Fishing at some random spot and big rocks landing next to us, landing in the water, landing next to us, not hitting us, even though we do have an account of a rock hitting one person and messed him up pretty bad. That's a male. They say, yeah, we looked, we never saw anything. Male. Oh, we saw it move. Female. You kind of get where I'm going with this? Females are mobile. Males are not. The bluff charge thing, male. Female's not going to bluff charge you.
She's just going to walk away.
Yeah. She's just going to fucking go.
That kind of goes back to...
It's like if you cornered her, I feel like she'd mess you up. But if you don't corner her, I don't think she's confrontational. I don't think she's going to try. I think she's going to try to get away from you,
That goes back to there was one video that I don't know if we talked about it, but I don't think we analyzed it or anything. It was this girl. She was a bow hunter, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was an old flip phone or something.
Yeah.
She caught 2 of them on there, and you were even saying that if you looked at the video, it looked like they picked up something, and you looked like it was grabbing like an arm grabbing a hold. I should
interject on that one. The video is interesting, but the body proportions don't match.
You don't think they match a female? No,
I went over that video this maybe 4 days ago, and I probably watched it 80 times, and I literally save stills, and then I do the body proportions with basic lines, and I just start comparing those lines to pictures of human profiles, and the profile doesn't match. The arms are human length. I don't know if it was a hoax, but I don't.
It was an old flip phone.
I just don't think it was Bigfoot.
It's too blobby to even. I like. It looks crazy. Like the only thing that was really crazy about it was that secondary hand that looked like it was grabbing on. So, but yeah, like you said that. I only said that because of like the hand, but
I'm glad you brought it up because honestly,
still,
it slipped my mind.
It was very blotchy. It was an old flip phone, so you wasn't going to get a high resolution camera shot out of that. But I was wanting to bring up because you said that the males, you think that they're the size is all wrong, but the one video that you said that you still to this day did not know, and I never got a chance to see it, and it got taken down, and you couldn't find it.
Male. I know exactly the one.
The guy, you said a guy went back out there, measured it from where it was.
Yeah.
It was 13 feet in the air.
It was from one branch to the other. It was 13 feet, and this thing was filling up that entire space. That's a male.
Because he wasn't like the way that you described it. He wasn't moving, wasn't doing anything, but he was still. And I don't know if you. I wanted you to tell this. Stop me if we already talked about this. I remember we started talking about it before. You said that there was some researchers watching a family of like gorillas or something.
Yeah.
And you said they did not notice the male.
Yeah.
Literally, probably, what would you say, like 4 feet, 5 feet?
Less than 4 feet away.
4 feet away. So you got to think.
Yeah.
If you're out there, you see a female, like a style of that, the male is probably there.
If she's hanging around in an area, I think that's the only thing that would keep her in one area, is if there's a male in that area.
But another thing, too, to combat what I just said, because it kind of dawned on me as I was talking about it.
Yeah.
if they travel, do you think that the females travel to mate and then they leave?
This is something that's going to get me a lot of hate from a lot of the air quote Bigfoot researchers out there. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're packing up as a family at all. I don't think there's a family trip.
Yeah, because I was having that thought before we started talking about this. I get what you're saying. Like the male stays. Either like he might mosey around, maybe move here and there, but the females are the ones that you see more active, more moving.
Yeah.
So to combat what I just said about the whole gorillas watching, if you see a female, there's probably not a male there.
Well, here's the thing though.
But there's a chance.
When animals group up together,
yeah,
there's a reason. Okay. Any animals out there, when they group up in a herd, it's because there's strength in numbers. If you don't need a herd to be dangerous, like a tiger.
So, I hate to interrupt and interject, but this all just points way back to theories that I've put out over all this about it being a relic.
A relic hominid.
And the Gigantopithecus.
Yeah.
What primate did they base all the proportions of the Gigantopithecus on? Orangutans.
Orangutans, yeah.
Do you know what primate lives a solitary lifestyle?
The orangutan.
Orangutans.
There you go. Yeah. If you look at an orangutan too, for their size, they're powerful animals.
Insanely strong for their size.
They're ridiculous strong, so they don't really need a troop.
And they have the crazy arm length.
And
And we do know that there's a blueprint for a giant orangutan.
Yep.
So you think that they literally they mate, the females take care of the children, and then
I think that
you don't think the males have anything to do with the.
I don't think that they. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that swear up and down they're like, they mate for life. There's always a family pod. I think they mate. The male hangs around for a while while she's nursing. Birth? If she's nursing babies and it's little and it's helpless, I could see the male hanging out for that. But then they just kind of go their way. Once she's good, I think she probably runs him off, to be honest. And I hate to say it, but it's one of them things like, I have a new baby now, and you are literally competition now. A minute ago, we had pheromones that were letting us get along, and now not so much. So hit the fucking road.
You got to get off my couch.
And I literally think that it's kind of a natural,
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe he hangs out for a while and then he kind of, either she moseys off or maybe she kicks him out of his area. Maybe he spends the time in that area to make sure she's going to be okay in it. Who knows?
Maybe kind of make sure he stays in an area for so long for a potential mate. It basically does his scent around it to attract a mate. But on the flip side too, it basically, because his scent will deter any other predators from coming in. Yeah,
that's the other thing too, is the crazy howl scream audio that we've all heard.
Yeah.
That the one that's like, they can't even figure out how loud it is at its source just because of how much power it has at distance.
Like the Mushroom Hunter video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if that is to help her find where he is? Because I don't think they do the same one either. I think the females have their own.
Are you saying that the male is like she's like, I can't find you.
She's looking.
I'm over here.
Yeah, she's looking. She's roaming and looking. He goes to a certain spot and does that crazy, the audio. You know what? Let's stick the audio in right here. Give you guys an idea what we're talking about. So that sound would be pretty much like something to assist her if she's close. Maybe he catches her scent.
Well, I mean, think about like there's a famous quote that being married is just yelling what from different rooms in the house.
That is definitely accurate.
Right?
Yeah.
What?
Huh?
I can't hear you in here. Huh? Yeah. We stand in the way of the wrong cabinet, and we yell what from different rooms.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
My wife has a thing where she will not tell me where something is. No, I'm not even kidding you. Like I'm in there and I go, "Hey, where's this at?" She will come all the way from wherever she is and literally grab it and hand it to me, even though she could have said, it's in the cabinet here. Grab that.
So I can side with Kat on this one.
Yeah.
Because I'll do that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that to me all the time. I'm like, you could have just told me. She's like, no. I'll get it. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of being like, it's right there or right here, I'll literally walk from the other side of the house and pull the drawer open and hand it to Sam.
Yeah.
So, you guys get it honest at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, just tell me where it's at. I'll get it.
Right.
I think, though, on the subject of the male and female, like the differences between the two of the species, I think that, this is just my theorizing, but I think that relic hominid makes sense.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it would be somewhat like us, but also a lot different in behavior.
Yeah.
We model, we have a thing where we model or try to model this species off our own.
So to elaborate on your point, that's something, and I actually had it up on my phone.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was wanting to talk about because I knew as soon as I said the orangutan thing about Gigantopithecus and the link to Bigfoot, that there's going to be a lot of people out there like, Bigfoot looks nothing like an orangutan,
Yeah.
and losing their mind because I said, that I'm not expecting Bigfoot to look like Right Turn, Clyde.
Yeah.
I'm not. But what a lot of people don't realize is there are a absolute metric fuck ton of species out there.
Yeah.
That are like 98% related that look nothing alike.
Right.
Prime example. I've got 2 examples I can give you right now.
Okay.
Silverback gorillas and us share 98% DNA.
Yep.
Right? Red panda. Regular panda.
Yeah.
The closest living relatives to each other.
Right.
A regular panda is a big-ass bear. A red panda looks like a raccoon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But they are the closest relation.
Yeah.
We look nothing like a gorilla. So why wouldn't that, reign true in other species as well?
Absolutely. Wolves and all dogs on Earth.
Right.
I mean, we directly affected those dogs to be what they were, but I think the point stands is a Chihuahua shares a lot of DNA with a northern gray wolf.
I mean, well, let's look. Okay, we're talking canids. Look at the fox.
Yeah.
A red fox looks like a fuzzy-tailed small dog, but acts like a cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's more like a cat in its mannerisms and its size and its outline. If you saw a fox in the distance and just silhouetted it, it's going to look like a large house cat.
Yeah.
You take the silhouette away and you look at it, it looks more like a fuzzy little dog.
Yep.
It's more related to a dog, but it acts more like a feline.
Yeah.
So why couldn't this thing be closer related to an orangutan, get some of its proportions and some of the DNA, but be structurally entirely different?
Yeah.
Well, you can go back. What about like hyenas? Ain't they
Hyenas are not. They're not in the canine family
yeah,
at
but
all.
they look.
They
They
more
look
like a
like
dog.
canine,
Portion,
but they're
yeah.
actually
They're
feline.
closer related to feline than they are
Yeah.
canine. Yeah.
But they look more like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to go with what he was saying is like, just because it looks like it doesn't mean that it's fully.
Yeah.
Like,
If-
it can have changes like
Yeah.
even like a hyena looks like a dog, but it's actually feline. So you can't say that just because it looks the same, like a little different. There's a chance that it could actually. We're not saying that it's
A carbon copy.
carbon
Yeah,
copy.
if it looks
because-
like a duck and quacks like a duck, it
Just-
might be a marsupial. You
just
never know.
because-
Yeah.
Yeah, you can even say that about humans. Like, you could literally sit me next to somebody else that I'm not related to.
Yeah.
We're totally different, but we're the same. We're the same species.
Yeah, vastly different. I
Yeah,
mean,
we're
and
so like we have more different characteristics than any species on the planet.
I think the one thing too is that we also talk. We use Gigantopithecus as a blueprint example of something that may or may not be walking around right now. But that, to me, that doesn't mean that it is a Gigantopithecus. Just the same as we're not, we're not Homo erectus anymore or
Exactly.
Neanderthalis. We were.
it could be a relic.
It's a relic. It's something that came from that line, and
We share a common ancestor.
yeah, like you were saying, the orangutan leads a mostly solitary life.
Yeah,
So imagine the next step.
right.
Well,
Think of the cradle of life for all of us.
Yeah.
All human beings originate in Africa.
yeah,
We're as white as it gets.
right,
We don't look anything like somebody from Africa,
right,
but we all share that same common ancestor.
yeah. I mean that's kind of it. Is we came from Africa, all of us. We went out and stretched out all over the world, and we changed as we went. There was different versions of us that popped up out of nowhere. There was different relics and different hominids that stood up and did their own thing.
Yeah.
And then here we are. Here we are, modern times. We've got Homo sapien is the dominant primate on the planet. We're the dominant hominid, right? And yet we have this other thing that's, there's so many accounts, right? There's so many accounts. There's so many reports. There's so many eyewitnesses. We've got everything from, what was it? A senator somewhere just came out and basically admitted that he had an encounter.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was just, it wasn't
I'm
very
on
long
board
ago. It like this guy, he was so reluctant to even talk about it, and he finally did. And he literally said, he's like, it absolutely changed everything for me. He's like, it was life changing. It was like, it's never expected it in a million years,
Right.
You've got, scientists that were in a certain field that tag along to disprove, and then weird stuff starts happening, and now they're like, well, okay, I don't know.
I mean, even
You know.
like for me, it is an example. If I was to see one in real life,
Yeah.
I would even be reluctant to even tell anybody. I'm on a podcast about this stuff,
Yeah.
and I would have a hard time coming forward and saying this is what I saw.
Yeah.
The ridicule. There's a lot that goes behind that.
That's the thing, is we're in the age where there's a lot of forest out there, and there's a big argument that's like, hey, we would know by now, we would have seen by now, we would have, blah blah blah. Well, there's another side of that coin that says we have, we do, we are. But if you went out right now with, a big ass like DSLR, Nikon, Canon, blah blah blah, just fancy camera, and snapped the most vivid, perfect picture, and then filmed, for 2.5 hours, just kept it rolling, and filmed this perfect action shot of Sasquatch, and then you put it out on the internet, within minutes, it would be shredded. You cannot give this world proof. This world isn't about proof anymore. And that's, I had a conversation with a guy at work who actually I found his argument very enlightening. And he told me, he goes, yeah, I listened to your podcast a little bit, and he's like, I liked it. I like it. He's like, I really like the thread of, I don't know, maybe,
Right.
maybe not. He said, but his problem is that when dealing with his example was with the like skeptics of Bigfoot versus true believers of Bigfoot, and there is a such thing as both. And then there's some that are right on the fence. He said the problem with these two is atheism and Christianity. And I was like, okay, well, what do you mean? He goes, okay. He goes, I have the same problem that with atheists that I have with full blown Christians, like devout Christians. And I was like, what's that? He goes, I cannot stand people who deal in absolutes. And I was like, okay. He's like, to me, atheism is just as irritating as full-blown religion. He goes, it is a religion. It's a lack thereof that's just as passionate. He's like, they're the same coin, basically. He goes, and unfortunately, in the Bigfoot thing, you have the same thing. He goes,
That's scary true.
He goes, you have your devout believer, and then you have your devout skeptic. He goes, and they are literally, while they're worried about that, all this unknown in the middle is happening. He goes, I'm interested in the middle, the unknown.
Yeah.
He goes, what did he kind of said? He's like, the true believers, they already have their argument. It's set in their brain why it's real. Blah blah blah.
There's no changing their minds.
There's no changing their mind.
The same with the opposite. The true unbelievers. There's no changing.
There's
their
no
minds.
changing their mind. They're made up.
That's why riding the fence is such a wonderful place to be.
Yes.
It's because you get to look at everything.
Take in all the details.
You never take anything. You take everything with a grain of salt, because it's
absolutely.
Because you never know. Because even because I've never seen, and I always stated that we've never seen a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Female or male. These are all just speculation and just theories on this, but even if I had that one day where if I ever get a chance to see one, it's not going to give me a definitive, I saw something, but it opens more questions. Why is it like it? Like, why does it do these things?
That's kind of the...
And why does this behavior act this way? Because I would want to know, it would open more questions than giving me the answer of it being there.
See, for me, and I've said this since day one, one of the first things that ever happened with me on this podcast was you asked me at the end of my episode about the Seneca guns, if I believed in Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And I said, Bigfoot's real because I want him to be. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it's an amazing thing to think about. Is this relic primate that everybody says, it can't be real on the science side. Yeah. And then there's like a few science people that are like, well, it's probable. And then there's the naysayers. And it's like, what always got me is if I look past all the people that have something to gain, and look at the people that have nothing to gain except for ridicule and problems from telling their stories. Yeah. Why are these good people seeing the same things? Yeah. They're all seeing the same thing. Like you said, there's always a pattern. Yeah.
I feel like the main pattern that
why put yourself out there?
Mm-hmm. I feel like one of the big main patterns that we're seeing here from those types of encounters that we've heard for this whole season is what you were just talking about. Them going into people's farms, stealing chickens, stealing livestock.
Opportunistic.
Being opportunistic. So I feel like, and they always say it's like, it's always bigger than what we're depicting out in the wild, like out in the forest. It's always like we were talking that it could be a male doing that, because you got to think, and I feel like we threw this out on one of our last episode. We are looking at Sasquatch that he is above everything. He probably can be an asshole, and he probably is just as lazy that we are.
Yeah.
So if he can think for himself, he'd be like sitting there and be like, I can run after that deer for probably a little bit, for a long time. It's probably going to take the wind out of me for a bit. And I don't want to. I don't want to be tired when I'm eating, but I can go over to this guy's farm, and steal a couple chickens, and I could be good and sit in my hole right here.
Plus,
chill.
Chickens are pretty stupid. I mean, imagine if he was still enough, they would literally walk right up and start eating around him, and he could just snatch one. And there was an email that Steve Isdell read. There's a guy that emails him a lot, and he calls himself the Owl Man. And I know some of you listeners out there are going to know what I'm talking about. And the Owl Man has made claims that he has made contact on several occasions with 2 different family groups. Mm-hmm. And on a recent story, he said that he was being, how did he word it? He had been tagged by them. Like, now take this one for what you will, but he said that he felt an extreme pressure in his home. And a lot of people describe this pressure, the feeling of doom or a heavy pressure to the area, something that feels off. And he immediately got up and went outside. He said his dog was going ape shit. You know what I mean? All this stuff. He went outside and he literally spoke out loud into the darkness. I know you're there. Leave me in peace. Come back tomorrow and I'd like to talk to you. And he said he went back in and his dog calmed down. He laid back down. He went to sleep. Nothing happened. The next day, he walked out there and he waited, and he started to slowly feel the pressure again, as if he could feel it coming into the area. And he says that he made a contact, that he could hear the thing basically in his mind speaking to him. And the one thing that I found interesting was he was basically writing in to tell other people that if you experience this, the pressure, it's not a language that they're pushing your way. It's almost a feeling. He said he likened it to the way an autistic person processes emotion. That they don't feel, or they don't need your language. They can sense what your
demeanor or your
kind of the
energy or something.
You ever heard of what kind of vibe you're putting out? Yeah. If somebody comes in and they sit down, and they're just feeling tense. They're just pushing that. I've had it in bands before where you have that one guy that's kind of like he's in a mood and it's kind of dragging the room down. That like he's
okay. So I'm going to interject here real quick, because immediately when you started telling that story, I was going to be like, how freaking convenient is it that Bigfoot speaks English?
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then when you went into that part, okay, that makes sense, because that's how I learned Spanish.
Is kind of the feel of it, or
is reading the room, reading the body language, and there is something when you have a group of people around where you can kind of feel the emotion of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it helps you understand the context of the words they're using. And if you've got any kind of small understanding of the language itself, it makes it easier to comprehend what they're talking about.
Right.
And that's exactly how I learned Spanish.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not full, I don't want to put it out there that I'm fully bilingual, because I am not.
Yeah.
But I can build a building with, 2 to 15 people that do not speak English at all.
Yeah.
I can pull it out of the ground. I can make it happen. I know enough Spanish to be able to make that happen.
Right.
And a lot of that was being able to read the room.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where the Owl Man was coming from, was that there's it's like a language, but it's more of a feel.
Yeah.
And he said to the thing, because he talked in his email about having all these tanks that he was breeding these like exotic turtles and selling them. And I actually knew the breed that he was talking about when I was a kid. I was super into reptiles and stuff. And he was talking about these turtles and stuff, and how he built his enclosures so that they couldn't climb out and go wandering off. And when he was feeding them, he noticed that one of his turtles was like literally crawling back to him from the woods. And he said that he was like, well, this doesn't make any sense. And he said he immediately dismissed it. He figured that a bird probably grabbed the turtle and dropped it. But then later he started thinking about, like, that's actually a hard catch for a bird, as a turtle. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but most of the time it would take like a raccoon or something to flip the turtle over, and once they get it, they work on it. But he said that later he got the feeling that it was almost a prank, that it had come out, it had snatched the turtle, and it took it and let it come back to him.
That falls back to your Bigfoot might be kind of an asshole.
Yeah, and he said that when he was trying to communicate back and forth, he said that he had told it, he goes, I don't mind if you take things from the garden. I don't mind if you I'll leave things and I'll hang them over the fence. You're welcome to take those things, all you want. If you see something in the garden that you want, take it. And then there was a detail that I thought was interesting, was he said, please don't kill any of my animals. And he said that he immediately got a feeling that rushed towards him of humor. And it was almost as if it was like laughing about it. But then there was another thing later on. He has the person who got him into this, she claimed to have almost an ability to read them. And she had called him the next day and said, oh, I heard that you were visited. And he goes, wait a minute, how would you know that? And she's like, because he told me he was going to visit you. And then she started to try to translate the best she can. And from what I understand, it's really hit and miss.
Right.
Because we don't speak like they do, and they don't speak like we do.
The only problem with this is it entirely contradicts the narrative of everything we talked about in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. It's interesting,
like maybe it was a female.
Right.
But everything we talked about in the beginning was the males are aggressive, bluff charges, throwing rocks.
Right.
Typical male behavior in most species.
Yeah.
Where the females are usually more passive.
And from what he was saying, she relayed the story to him that he had missing animals. Things were disappearing. Animals were being basically stolen and eaten and whatever. Banging on the houses. All this aggressive behavior. And this lady had told him that it wasn't that one, but there's another that he keeps an eye on, and the one he's keeping an eye on has a learning disability. And I'm like, what?
I mean, I guess that makes sense because, things can happen in nature like that.
And apparently this one grew up with this disability to basically process what it shouldn't be doing, what it should and shouldn't. So the way I'm probably butchering this. I highly recommend to go listen to it yourself, over on How to Hunt.
And when you go there, tell them you found him from Kentucky X-Files.
Yeah, definitely.
Give us that.
We'll leave a link to his YouTube.
But
Yeah.
definitely say in the comments you came there from us.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that would help us immensely.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. But she was saying how there was one or two of them that kept tabs on this one. And it wasn't something that they normally do. But this was kind of I felt like I got the feeling off of it like this one was going to cause trouble for the others. So it was worth keeping an eye on. It was really weird.
That's in humans too. We do the same thing.
I can't say that I'm on board with the whole thing, but I did find it very interesting, and there was a couple little things in it that I picked out where I was like, "Huh, that's interesting."
I can humor the kind of the talking a little bit, but not really talking.
Yeah,
Because you got to think of like the words that we use today, like the emotion that you actually get from hearing one like a word or something like something that's sad. You know, you get a feeling from it. You get like if somebody's talking to you about something sad, like a person passing away, a dog or something like just something sad in your life. You have that feeling. So in a way, they could be producing that type of feeling for conversation.
yeah.
It could be because we always talked about the way that these would be designed. Like, didn't you? We talked about this. Like, they wouldn't be able to talk the way that their vocal cords like were different because of their. Didn't you say their frontal lobe or something is in the back of their heads? It like on some.
Yeah, there was a suspicion due to the brain. It was something in the actual skull of the Neanderthals. There was a suspicion that the frontal lobe that we have that would govern a lot of our cognitive emotion, things like that, the ability to learn, that theirs was actually not located there, that it was actually in the back of their brain that would actually be more akin to storing kind of a secondary memory, something that we would call instinct, that Neanderthals would have been operating off of. Now, this is far out there, okay, but I don't even begin to understand how they came up with this theory, but that the Neanderthal, rather than going, you know, like, hey, if you rub these two sticks together, you'll get fire. Instead of that, it wasn't me teaching you how to make fire. It was just me reminding you these are instincts that you already have.
Right, and that's a thing that humans don't have.
Yeah, and we don't have that.
We don't have instinct.
So
That's not a thing we operate under is instinct. It's all learned behavior.
Yeah, we swapped out instinct for logic several 100,000 years ago.
The only reason why I brought it up is that it could be like a similar trait in these creatures.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they don't really speak.
Yeah.
They might not speak just because we're the only primate that speaks too.
Yeah, we you know what? That kind of leads to an odd theory, huh? What if we're the weird ones?
Right. I mean, we are the weird ones.
We are pretty weird.
We're the only primate that walks upright.
Yeah.
All the time. We're the only primate that doesn't use instinct. We're the only primate that speaks. I mean, we are the oddball.
Yeah.
We think of ourselves a lot higher because we're self-aware.
Because we can think.
Right, because we're self-aware. We're amazing creatures. We do all this stuff, but we're the weird ones.
Yeah.
In nature, we're just as weird as it gets.
I don't know. You know, I sit there. I do this a lot, and I sit there and I go, man, what does my gut feeling tell me about the big guy? You know. Take everything that I've ever heard or read and all the stuff we've disproved, you know, all the proven hoaxes, all the questionable pictures, and then a lot of the evidence that's, you know, just leads to a dead end, you know. What's my gut instinct? Is there enough room for a relic hominid? A low population relic hominid? Sorry, Todd Standing, I just don't agree, man. I really don't. I just don't. I think that there's no way.
Well, and I fall back on the gorilla thing.
Yeah.
We didn't know they existed till the early 1900s. And then I found out that when I redacted my statement about the 1960s, it's actually true.
Yeah.
We didn't know that a certain type of gorilla existed in a certain area until the 1960s. That's that whole thing right there is, I use that as a basis. Yeah, we put people on the moon before we knew that lowland gorillas existed.
Yeah.
You know, that's insane.
But then you look at the size of those gorillas and where they live and how hidden they were.
Yeah.
And we have islands out there that we have never explored and we can't get onto. There's islands of people that we've never even made contact with.
Right. Imagine the species of animals that are on those islands.
Exactly.
That we have no idea what's there.
We have no clue what's on those islands.
Because they're protected. Because the people that are there kill every person that walks on the beach.
That's what I'm saying. There's enough room to hide these things.
Yeah, like what was
There's
that?
enough room.
What was that turtle that was supposed to be extinct, but it was on the Galapagos on the Galapagos Islands or something?
It was a tortoise, not a turtle.
Yeah,
the
tortoise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to you said that the guy was ridiculed because he said that they were still out there,
Yeah.
but it was on this island. So there could be.
The whole thing started with finches. It was a finch, a little bird.
Yeah.
He got one and realized that it was almost the same as what they had back home, but it wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then he realized that there was another finch right next to it
Yeah.
that looked the same, but was slightly different.
And it just was like it
Full
just
circle.
it clicked. It started a whole controversial thing that in different areas, environmental pressures, environmental behaviors, or not environmental behaviors, but I mean, there's environmental evolution, there's behavioral evolution, and there's all these different factors that are going to push a species to.
Which is amazing to me that people argued it. Because look at people. We talked about this early in the episode. You take human beings, and then you take and start, pulling human beings from different parts of the planet.
Yeah.
We're so vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
How could you not expect that other species would do that?
I said that same thing about Sasquatch and the Yeti.
Yeah.
I feel like they could be related, but they're not really related. Like just different.
Yeah, and that's what I said in the beginning about the
you
dog
said
man.
the same thing about
Yeah.
the different environment will change. Like you could be part of this species, but you break off and you went here. There different environment conditions will eventually change you to combat those environment to help you survive.
Yeah.
Well,
or you'll die off.
Not you, but you know what I mean? Like you won't change.
Yeah.
It's more of a takeaway game.
Yeah.
Than it is a change what's there. I know we've said this before, but there's still a vast group out there that looks at evolution like, well, it was a little lizard getting eaten, so it grew a shell. No, it didn't. The little lizard that got eaten, he's dead. He's gone. The one with the shell survived, and he's turtles now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't grow a shell because of that. He already had it.
Kept his shell.
He kept his shell.
The ones without the shell didn't survive. Yeah.
That's what evolution really means. It's nature taking away shitty prototypes.
Survival of the fittest.
And the best, all the best designs go forward.
But it still could combat, like, say, the starting of the Sasquatch, they break off and say, like, the ones that are considered Yetis today, they survived enough to their offspring started to evolve to to live in those conditions.
Those conditions where the Yeti is commonly, reported, those conditions are not like our conditions in North America. There was an argument that I think a lot of people have gotten over this argument, but I heard this for years, is what's it eating? What the hell is Bigfoot eating? He can't eat berries, what's he eating? Well, we're opportunists, There's a lot of meat running around North America. There's a lot of deer. But over, in some of those places where the Yetis reported, game is a lot more scarce. So there's they talk about how the Yeti is a lot more prone to attacking people. And, they have their own missing 411 going on over there.
Yeah, I've heard that they said the Yeti's more aggressive.
A lot more aggressive
and smaller too. They said it's a lot smaller.
And you compared them to mammoths and mastodons.
Yeah.
Yeah, people think that's synonymous.
Oh.
Right.
And it is not.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to before we
We're getting close to wrapping this thing up.
In this, I know we have maybe I think a half of a jawbone of the Gigantopithecus.
Couple teeth and a jawbone.
Yeah.
Did we ever I'm probably going to look this up later, but is there any link to, like, because you said they based the model off of chimpanzee, right?
Orangutan.
Orangutan, my bad.
Because the jaw was so similar to one.
Even the DNA, like, did they do a DNA test on that? Like,
I don't believe DNA still existed at that point.
If it's a fossilized, it's fossilized, then there won't be any DNA.
Yeah, I didn't know it was fossilized. I thought it was just found.
But
yeah, that's what makes it so rare, is that there's so few primate fossils.
Unfortunately, though, there was a couple of T-Rex bones found that were partially fossilized.
Ooh.
And some DNA was recovered.
Yeah. Didn't they have
that's
some
how they,
bone marrow?
This is terrible news.
Yeah, it is.
This is really bad. It's how they finally, a few years back, I don't know if you guys have been to the museum lately, but there's a Albertosaurus skeleton there next to a T-Rex skull, and the T-Rex skull kind of gives you the size difference. You know, the Albertosaurus was really impressive, but the T-Rex is like, whoo. And there's a skeleton of a chicken right next to it. And they're like, confirmed the modern day chicken, the jungle fowl, is the only living, surviving family member of that family.
Is it a chicken or a guinea?
The chicken.
That's hilarious.
I think it is too.
That puts those little bitty arms in a whole different place.
It really does.
Yeah,
and that was a big. I think I ruined a friendship over that.
Yeah.
Because I told him
like,
about
it was
So
unnatural.
we know that raptors had feathers. So
Yeah.
does that mean the T-Rex had feathers?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
And there's something else that's coming out too with all that, is they're finally starting to draw dinosaurs with lips.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this or not. Every picture, every movie, every video, every GIF, whatever you want to call it, of a T-Rex has no lips.
Yeah.
It's always just teeth, gnashing teeth showing. They're finally starting to create them with lips now.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't we have put lips on these things?
What about that one that we? It was a long time ago. They found it in Brazil or just somewhere in South America.
Oh, it was a foot.
Yeah, it was a foot, like a terror bird.
It was a terror bird foot.
But it was preserved because
it was in some kind of crazy clay that just kept it good. Like nothing could get to it, and they've gotten so much out of that.
It's awesome.
It's amazing too, because you look at some of the prehistoric creatures like Gallimimus, and you can literally see its modern descendants in like emus and ostriches. You can literally see where it came from, but a lot of the sauropods just didn't make it. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate. There's no bird relative of the sauropods walking around that I know of.
The closest thing would be a giraffe as far as appearance goes.
Yeah, but in the bird family, it's,
I know this is off topic, but I can't remember if you're the one that showed me it. That the famous T-Rex roar is not it's
the vocal cord wouldn't have been able to produce it.
They said that for that size, he actually would have this kind of, in a way, he probably did some type of infrasound of low rumble.
I would imagine so.
It would it wouldn't even be, because some people made the joke that it came out to be kind of like a duck or a honk.
It's because the cavity where the vocal cord would have been if you took a goose's vocal chamber and enlarged it, it fits. So they were like, if it fits that perfectly,
that makes it even worse, because a goose honk at that size would have been like a foghorn.
You know what's terrible is a modern day goose. They can be pretty terrifying in their own right, and they're not that big.
Right, they're aggressive as hell.
Yeah, So imagine you're walking around, in the Jurassic,
Yeah.
and you hear this.
Well, they didn't
Oh,
say it
God.
was that loud though. They said that it was more of a rumble to make because it basically kind of like it when it opened its mouth. It's like it's like kind of like it's very eerie the way that they. I can't remember what video I was watching that told this, but the way it was depicted, it was terrifying. Like it literally would paralyze you in terror.
I could see that.
Well, think about a goose hiss.
Yeah.
A goose's hiss is kind of low for its size. It's a
So some kind of it would probably do a hiss, but
Yeah.
but that size,
but it'd
that
be that
hollowness,
slow, that low.
kind of like a low growl,
Oh,
but
man.
very hollow.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But
The honks would probably be for communicating with each other. But it would, like I said, it would probably sound like a foghorn.
Yeah.
Honk, honk.
We look at all those species, and how diverse they were, and
Yeah.
the billions of species we're never going to know even existed. And then I can't help but think, okay, I mean, even though the T-Rex DNA is firmly planted in a chicken, that's a success story, because throughout all of that, a little bit of that guy made it. A little bit of that DNA made it. Now, if you look at the South American jungle fowl, that's basically that's the progenitor of all chickens on Earth. It is the wolf of chickens, right? If you look at it, it's a really impressive bird.
It's a band name if I ever heard it. Wolf of Chickens.
Wolf of chickens. It's a really, really impressive bird. They're amazing. It was through domestication that we produced all these different breeds of chicken, but the jungle fowl is a badass. He's way up in a tree. He's not up there because he's hiding from you. That's the best place to ambush you from. This is an impressive bird. It's nothing like what we're, and all roosters have a little bit of that guy in them. Well, some more than others. I don't know if you've ever had a Rhode Island Red or not, but they're notorious bastards.
Or a foghorn.
I watched a video of a Rhode Island Red that literally leaped up so that it could hit the hawk as it was coming down.
Yeah.
He didn't stand there to get taken by the hawk. He jumped at it.
Well, and I can tell you that a rooster will absolutely attack a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
It'll attack a person. It'll attack way bigger creatures than it because it does not care.
Yeah.
It's got the T-Rex in its brain.
I unfortunately had the what do you call it? The I guess unprivilege, or whatever the opposite of privilege is, of seeing a rooster getting taken out by a Malamute on my farm. Unfortunately for the rooster, as tough as he wasn't ready. It sucks because he was probably my favorite rooster on the farm, but he went into the Malamute's area, and Malamutes are just really, really bad for taking out stuff quickly. And it was just, there's the rooster dead. And it was so fast, I was like, I couldn't stand up quick enough to even try to stop it from happening. It was over so fast. That was such a bummer. Really big, beautiful Americana rooster, and I buried him. I took some of his feathers and stuck them in the ground where he's buried, because he was an awesome boy. I'm gonna miss him. But it's a success story that the rooster, the jungle fowl, made it, and that's a descendant of the T-Rex. So I know we're getting ready to end this. I want to pose this question out to you listeners, and I'd love to hear your feedback on it, because I am generally interested. If the Sasquatch is a relic hominid, a different prototype, who's more suitable for this earth? Them or us? Which one fits better? Who is superiorly evolved? Is it us or is it them? I'd like to hear your feedback. So if you guys are up for it, leave us a comment. Let me know what you think about that. And we'll read them on the next show. Oh yeah, the next show. Are we doing is the finale next? Is it next? The next episode after this one?
I think we've actually discussed to the
I think it has to be.
the listeners. We've been
Yeah, it
hyping
has
up,
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been hyping up the whole season 2, so I guess we're gonna be putting the season finale on the next episode.
The next episode season finale is December 20th.
December 20th, season finale.
Which is 2 days before the anniversary of the show.
Awesome. And what we're gonna be doing for season 2 is setting up a premiere date for that, which you guys should be seeing sometime soon. But to tie you over, we're gonna be putting together some highlights of previous episodes and getting you guys some listening, while we're, preparing this next season for you guys, and it's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Who knows what we're gonna get into for the finale? I'm excited.
Right. I got to throw one quick shout out there too. Is I was questioned by a listener today.
Yeah.
Who happens to be a coworker. He was like, "Hey man, can I get some insight on what the next episode's going to be?" And I was like, "I have no idea what we're going to talk about." And I could tell he was like, "Man, this guy's messing with me." So Ricky, I want you to know that 30 minutes before we started recording is when we decided what we were going to talk about. So if you're listening to this, you're hearing it slightly after we do.
Right.
Now you know.
But yeah, guys. I guess that's all I have for this one, you guys.
That's all I got, guys.
Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. You take care of each other out there.